What's up, Starcraft fans? Today I do the tier list for Wheel of Stupid Void Launch. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Void Launch is the map where we have to shoot down Amon's shuttles. There are 7 waves of shuttles, which increase in size, number of prongs, and escorts. We cannot let more than 4 shuttles escape, otherwise we lose the game. Random mutators cycle in for over 4 minutes, and then cycle out for a new one. There are 3 active at a time, and a mutator switches every 90 seconds.
Ed Punhome is the Cobras today. Ed Punhome, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
You're not good. You just said you're under the weather. Don't lie.
I've been exposed. Yeah, a little sick, but hopefully I, can keep that to myself for the recording.
Hope you get better soon. All right, how do we rank the commanders this week?
The main thing is because you don't know what you're actually going up against. I mean, for one, there's how good are you against Void Launch? Because it does have relatively large attack waves and things like that. So if you're able to deal with those quite well normally, that'll be good. But it's also just how adaptable are you to the random mutators throwing at you, and how many mutator combos could you possibly struggle against? So like a Tychus is going to have very few mutator combos where he's just going to be bad, whereas a Han and Horner or an Artanis is going to have quite a few where they're not very good. So it's how overall strong is the commander against everything that could possibly come at it.
I generally went by the same logic. The more resilient you are to mutators, the higher you will be. The more mutators there are that can just end you, the lower you will be. I also gave consideration to the map itself. There are some commanders who can just kind of turtle in the base and just snipe the shuttles. That is a viable strategy for this week. With that, let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur's going to be fairly good here as long as you don't somehow get mutator combos that really mess up your ability to get at your early Brulisks. This is a relatively straightforward luring map. There's lots of big packs of biomass heavy enemies that are not behind like static defenses and things like that out on the map. So as long as you don't get like just die with some other combo of mutators that make it really hard to actually kill those and get your Brutalisk. Once you get set up, he's pretty strong against Void Launch, and he's generally pretty resilient to a lot of mutators, things like Black Death and Propagators and things like that. A lot of the more tough ones, Void Rift, he's going to do quite well against. So I put Abathur in S.
I have Abathur at A tier. I'm not sure if I would actually disagree with S, because when I was making my own tier list, I didn't want to put Abathur at too high of a rating right away. But there are things that, for example, it will obviously affect everyone, but Polarity, for example, might give him a hard time. There is also stuff like environmental mutators, Blizzard, that will annoy him. It won't really destroy him, but it will annoy him. And things like Barrier or sometimes Transmutation will make his Locusts a nerf rather than a buff. So I have him in A tier, but why would you say he's S tier instead of A?
He's just very adaptable, I would say. Like his army, once you get it up, is able to deal with pretty much anything. It is true with Polarity, but I mean, you do have a lot of good stalling mechanisms as well. And I mean, you're only going to have to deal with Polarity for what, 4.5 minutes? Like Viper's Blinding Cloud, shuts down, and you could technically even lose a wave or most of a wave early on and still be alive. So, worst case scenario, you get like Polarity, something like that. There is the RNG of like if you get a couple of bad mutators for luring, but It's also like, well, is that extremely likely? No, it's going to be pretty rare. Like it's people always talk about like, well, what if you get Polarity Propagators, Speed Freaks? It's like, well, yeah.
That's not what I was thinking of. Actually, we'll make his luring difficult if you get something like Laser Drill. That'll make it really,
no, I just mean
really
in general, not necessarily against Abathur, but like, it's like, well, what if you get these really, really, it's like, well, that's going to be pretty rare. But I mean, I could see A. I think he's generally quite strong.
And I have a lot
I was thinking he's like bottom of S for me for sure, but yeah, I could see either one.
Yeah, it was just kind of challenging to see if you really have an airtight argument for S. I would have changed it if you did have an airtight argument, but I do have commanders in S, and the guys I have in S, to me at least, feel like a tier above Abathur. That's why I only put him in A. So anyway, I guess we both end up putting him in A, which is, not bad. A is really good. A is really good. I only have like less than half of the commanders in ARS, so that's really good. Abathur ends up in A tier. Alarak for me doesn't feel that strong, but not that weak either, so that's right around C tier. There are mutators that will give him a hard time. For example, killbots will annoy him. Missile command will annoy him. He can't really get to void rifts if they are behind enemy lines. He can't really out heal COVID, for example, if he gets blackness. So there are a lot of mutators that will give him a hard time, but at the same time, he can absolutely do that strategy where he just hides behind his maintenance expansion. Just defend the ramp with, I don't know, Ascendants or Wrathwalker or something, and just go out with your mothership and a few destroyers to snipe the shuttles. So I think that's C tier for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's certainly a few mutators that mess him up, but I think he'll largely be pretty good. But yeah, even his sniping obviously is not as good as some of the other from base snipes you can do.
Yes.
You're still risking units out there, and if that goes wrong, if it goes wrong and you lose the mothership, you might have quite a long time before you get that back up, and that's good 50% of his power. So I'd say C tier makes sense. I had him in B, but could probably go C as well.
Do you have a case for B though? I'm not dismissing it outright, but maybe you do have a case for B.
I mean, there's very few that are going to be outright impossible or like very, very difficult for him, was my opinion. Like most of the environmentals and things like that, he's not going to have too much difficulty against.
Yeah.
But and he's up front quite good against Void Launch as well. Like he doesn't typically struggle against the actual mission. He's very good at wiping out large waves of enemies, which is what you deal with. But I mean, it was definitely like he's barely there. So
It's barely there.
I could definitely see.
All right, you can see C. Okay.
Yes.
So prestige wise, you need a third one. For Abathur, second prestige is fine. Even no prestige is fine. If you feel like you'll need to get a lot of air units as Abathur, no prestige is fine. Anyway, Arcturus, where do we have him?
Arcturus does relatively well. He has bunkers which are good against things like Black Death. He's going to have a slight amount of trouble against far back void rifts because this map does have a pretty large base between you and the absolute end of the map, but you could, in theory, I think, just put ESOs below those bases and still hit the top, but then again, it's very RNG to actually kill them or, drop pod directly onto them and get them down. But I think like you and Tutu were talking about on Fear and Lava, if they're back in that base, the likelihood of your self-sacrifice actually hitting the rifts and not some random thing in the base is going to be a little unlikely, but I think he'll do relatively well against a lot of the tougher mutators. Polarity's still a thing, obviously, but he also has Contaminated Strike. The one problem he has is his from-base snipes don't really work on the actual ships, mostly because it's ESOs, and those don't actually hit air. But he does have Sky Furies, which are very, very good at just flying out very fast, killing what they need to kill, and then running away. So I think he's going to be pretty strong this week. I'd put him in A.
I thought you were going to say he has Sky Furies, which are very, very furry. But I have him in B. But I'm not sure if I'll keep him in B. That does sound like a strong argument for A. My concern for Arcturus is he is primarily economy based. So if he gets something like slim pickings or microtransactions, that might prove to be a little rough for him. And yeah, he's not immune to COVID. He can absolutely turtle behind the base, but the Vikings or the Sky Furries are not immune to COVID. I guess you can repair them. Again, not immune. Again, you can put bunkers on the. So there are a lot of things that can throw him off. And he does have solutions, but those are different things, and you have to be on top of them. Though I guess that's more of a skill issue than a commander issue. That's why I'm still considering that he might really be A. Yeah, I have him in B. I'm thinking of the mutators that will definitely give him trouble. COVID. He can cope with kill bots for a while. That being said, it might overwhelm if it cycles twice in, or if he gets all the kill bots in the same spot or all on him. Void Red twice, yes. That's yeah. Avenger.
I was gonna say
Go ahead.
on the microtransaction side of things, you can just do the turtle in the base. You're only really using the Sky Fury, so you're not spending that much. Your troops are kind of just sitting there behind bunkers, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of money moving all of his troopers around for that period of time.
That's true.
Slim pickings could be somewhat tough. It's one of those things where it's like, well, slim pickings in the first 10 minutes would be very tough. After that, you're probably mostly fine. I think he's still pretty like those are yeah, he's not S, but I think he's probably still A even with those problems.
I don't really have a major issue with putting him in A. So, you know what? Let us put him in A. Prestige wise, third one, I guess.
Yeah, third one.
Yeah, third one seems fine. Okay. Artanis. Oh, he's not great here. He's not terrible. He's not E tier. I did put him in D tier because he will have a lot of issues. For example, microtransactions will annoy him a lot. He can still defend from the base and go out with units, but those units will still need a lot of micro. So yeah, microtransactions will definitely be annoying. Kill bots will be annoying. Transmutation will be annoying. You can do shield overcharge, yes, but it will be annoying. Environmental mutators, he has a large army or a volumetrically large army, so he will have issues with environmental mutators. Avenger will give him trouble. A lot of things will give him trouble. So Voidus might even also give him trouble. Missile command. Wait, let's think of mutators that will not give Artanis trouble. Darkness will not give him trouble. Even short-sighted. Can you imagine getting something like alien incubation? Most commanders like meh. Artanis like, oh no, I need Zealots.
Yeah.
Donnie. Yeah, he's D. Probably not E, but I do have him in D. What do you think?
Yeah, I think D makes sense. Yeah, there's very few he doesn't struggle against. We move on scene, he'd probably do fine against because you can emergency warp in observers pretty well. But
unless you don't have a robo.
It's also one of those things where yeah, that's true. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure you have a robo. But yeah, I mean he's going to struggle, especially because even nuclear annihilation can be kind of a pain on this map, especially if you're someone like Artanis with dragoons.
Nuclear annihilation. Yeah. That's an Artanis. That's an Arcturus ability.
Oh, sorry, the
going nuclear.
What is the going nuclear? Yeah. Going nuclear could be a bit of a pain. Things like that. So yeah, it's everything is kind of a pain when you're so much of a army commander. Like there's army commanders and then there's army commanders.
Huh?
And he's definitely an extreme army commander. So I'd say D makes sense.
Okay, so both of us agree with D. Let's put Artanis in D. Yep. No prestige recommendations because D is not good. I mean, D is actually bad. Not even mid. D is kind of bad. Dehaka, where do we have him?
You've got him in E, unless that was what we were saying.
I'm sorry, Artanis. Dehaka, where do you have him?
Dehaka is quite good at this map because creeper hosts and Dehaka and pack leaders, and he's able to ignore a lot of painful mutators or deal with them quite well. Like Void Rifts, he's pretty good against. He's once you've got Vision, he's quite good.
Vision. Is this like coming?
And Creeper Host can do well against those, and Dehaka himself can do fairly well against those. And he's got his turrets, which can help with a lot of trickle mutators and things like that, like walking infested and whatnot. And yeah, main thing is the Creeper Host. So anything where you need the turtle in your base, he absolutely can, and still kill all of the shuttles pretty convincingly, especially with pack leader cooldown. So I mean, yeah, the main things you're going to struggle with is like polarity, but who doesn't? I'd say I've got him in S tier.
Probably Stetmann doesn't struggle with polarity, but yeah, I agree. I also have Dehaka in S tier. Everything you said, I agree with. Pack leaders are actually immune to some of the mutators. Do you know that? Pack leaders are immune to some
like
of the
double-edged and things like that.
That's crazy. And for the rest, you have creeper hosts. I guess if you get kill bots, you might need to rely a little bit on your ally, but you can definitely just feed drones. That'll do just fine for a bit. So yeah, Dehaka S tier. Prestige wise, second one, but really any prestige is fine. Fenix, another not great one. You can probably go first prestige here and really lead into the Akundala just doing the attack waves with his suit. And then you'll really have to figure out how to snipe the shuttles because Fenix is not great against a lot of Mutators. He's kind of like an Artanis, except he doesn't have shield overcharge, but he does have a hero. So he might be able to deal with Avenger a little better. He will be able to deal with environmental Mutators a little better. He will be worse against things like Barrier, especially against air, because he doesn't have great anti-air, unlike Artanis, who does have great anti-air. Dragoons are really good anti-air. So that kind of balances things out. I do think he does end up in D tier. What do you think? Am I missing something?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like there's not even the question of are you going to get an air comp because you're at least getting like
The main objectives are air.
half of an air comp, basically. The objectives and their defenses are air at minimum, and then if you also get an air comp on top of that, it's going to be pretty tough. Yeah, I think there's a lot of mutators that he's going to struggle against. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say. He's going to have a rough time, I think, unless you just get very lucky. But that's true of any commander, so I'd say D tier.
Yeah, I'm actually more comfortable putting Fenix in D tier than Artanis. Because Fenix doesn't have the same kind of defenders that Artanis does. But Guardian Shell! S tier Guardian Shell! Guardian Shell! Because that's all they do with Artanis. They just Guardian Shell and let their ally do all the work.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Oh my Donnie. Han and Horner. Where do you have him?
Han and Horner, another one who's going to have a rough time, I'd say. I also had them in D tier because, they don't have the sit in the base option. They're only, sit in the base option is good against ground, but it doesn't do anything against air.
Yes.
So strike platforms aren't going to help here. And they're generally also another commander that has a rough time against air. Depending on the exact air comp, but you can go Reapers, but they're very squishy. Any environmental mutators are really going to mess with them. Yeah, I mean they're just going to have a pretty tough time. They have good top bars, but the top bar cooldowns are quite long. I think it's 6 minutes on theirs. Yes. So yeah, it's going to be tough.
Throw you off.
No. I'm cool as a cucumber. Yeah, it's going to be a rough time. Black Death is going to suck. Nukes are going to suck. Going nuclear is going to suck.
Fatal Attraction is going to suck, literally.
Fatal Attraction, Slim Pickings is another one where they're going to have a pretty tough time against any of the economy-based mutators as well, because they're very much an army-based commander. So I'd say, yeah, rough time, D tier.
I would have actually put Hara and Horner in E, if not for the fact that they're actually pretty decent against air. They can go the second prestige, and you go mass battlecruisers, and that will do a whole number on the ships. So I don't have a problem with them going up against air. I do have a problem with them going against all those mutators that you mentioned. I agree. COVID will mess them up. The Avenger will mess them up. Even if you go for the second prestige, Double Edge will mess them up. So yeah, lots of problems. Even the defense will mess them up. That's why I do agree they go in D tier. Let's move on. Karax is S tier because you can just remember when I said you can sit in the base and just go and snipe shuttles. Karax is one of the best of those. You can just even go like a single area, a single carrier, a single mirage for vision, and just rain down justice from the sky or from space even. Or if you're really feeling brave, you can just go out and put towers in the middle of the map. Of course, you will be subject to things like lava burst or blizzard being a pain, but that's the price you pay for being on the map. You can't just sit in your base. In fact, you can save if you want to save on your Spear Balloon. You can just put your static defense on your expansions. The monoliths and expansions will be able to target, or at least close to the expansion. We'll be able to target the objective ships So you only have to spend energy in the center exit, sniping out the shuttles. So yeah, that's S tier for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with S. You're able to build up cannons in your main base and your natural, obviously, to defend, and then top bar. And once you've got enough cannons, you can even start going for like however many mirages you can make with the money you have left, which should be a pretty decent amount actually. And then they can start to help out against the actual shuttles as long as there's no mutator that would prevent them from doing so. So S tier, very good. Sit in the base, fun times.
Very good. S tier. Okay. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan, pretty rough time against a lot of mutators. If you get them later in the game and you actually have an army out, then they can start to help as well. Like Mutalisks do pretty well against the actual map itself, but if you can't get to those, then you're going to have a pretty tough time. Kerrigan obviously fairly strong, but there's a lot of mutators that really mess up Kerrigan, the commander hero, and then if you can't rely on her for the first X amount of minutes of the game until you get an army out, then you're going to die. P3 here, and Prey, and I put her in C tier.
Right. You know what? I also put Kerrigan in C tier. The thing with C tier is she can be very good, but she can be very bad, depending on what mutator you get. If you get things like Fatal Attraction, if you get things like Double-Edged, she will have so much trouble. Even things like Fear, because Kerrigan's basically going to take all the hits. So that might annoy you a lot. But if you get good mutators, she can be very good. As you said, she doesn't have a problem with the map in general. So if the mutators get stuff like Photon Overcharge, if you get stuff like Twister, even a bit of Void Rift she can handle. As long as you don't get the really bad ones, she can handle it, but you need to get kind of lucky. So Kerrigan's one of those ones you just need to roll enough times, then you'll win. C tier. Prestige-wise, I guess you can go no prestige for the basic one. You can go third prestige, that's fine as well, but you definitely want Omega Worms. Nova for me is actually pretty decent. Not great, but decent. There are mutators that will mess her up. Microtransactions, slim pickings, double-edged will mess her up. COVID will mess her up because she can't out-heal it. However, she can just do the defense thing, sit in the base and defend, and then use airstrikes mostly for the waves, and then just have a couple of... You can also use airstrikes on the shuttles themselves, and have a couple of Ravens to finish them off. You can also have Nova finish them off with her snipe thing. So that's pretty good. Mostly rely on airstrikes, maybe Spider Mines, and Liberators, and Ravens, but not fantastic. So it's kind of like good. So that's B tier for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I had her in B tier as well. I always found it kind of silly that the mastery for units healing doesn't activate with Black Death. I wish that was a thing, but oh well. She's gonna be she'll be okay. It's very she's like Kerrigan but slightly better, in that there's a wider gamut, I think, of mutators she can deal with, but there's still some that'll make it very tough for her. So yeah, I agree with B.
I thought they were gonna say Kerrigan was slightly blonder, which is also true. But
she's slightly blonder than Kerrigan.
Prestige wise, do you want the third one and the first one?
You don't have to clear the map, so I'd say, Soldier Fortune is
First one,
probably
right?
the best option.
Plus, first one is also better against stuff like Zerglings, Doodlings, stuff like that.
Yeah, you need combat suit depending on the comp, and it's nice to clear the map, but on this map, it's actually not like you're like, if I can clear the map, I just don't have to worry about any of the building spawn ones, because the shuttle hangars will still spawn propagators and everything else.
And
so
Void Rifts, Void Animators. And Poopagators, yes.
Yeah, Void Reanimators, Walking Infested, or whatever, which Outbreak. There's like 4 different infested mutators. I can never keep up with which one's called what. But yeah, you can't prevent those. So clearing the bases is still nice, but it's not like a big win con or anything here.
Yes. Okay, so that's fine. Raynor for me, again, one of those D commanders. He can just get lucky with not slim pickings. Slim pickings is probably Raynor's worst enemy here because it's a permanent mutator. Once you get slim pickings, the minerals will get permanently decreased. So you can mew all you want, but you'll run out of money. You'll literally run out of minerals. So aside from that, he's really weak against environmental mutators. Your best bet is probably to go mass battlecruiser, which is what I did on the video. You go watch that. I just used the Hyperion to snipe, and once I got a supply of battlecruisers, I just got Hyperion pretty much on demand. But it had to be carried there by an ally who was doing good early game work. But yes, first attempt, you see what happens when you get bad rolls. Second attempt, you see what happens when you get good rolls and a good ally, and that's kind of bad. So you need that's D tier.
Yeah, I'd agree. D tier. Yeah, I mean, he's like Kerrigan, but slightly less blonde, slightly worse. So,
Less blonde. I guess it's true.
There's fewer mutators he can go up against, and yeah. But if he gets good ones, then he's good. And he is, he's got good anti-air, so there is at least that. If you don't get screwed over by the mutators, so D tier.
All right, Stet boy, where do we have him?
Stetmann is able to deal fairly well with a lot of mutators. He's got heals, which is nice, so Black Death is not as big of a concern. It's the kind of map where you can pretty easily get your Stetellites everywhere they need to be pretty early on, so you're not like having to go out of the green zones either, particularly. Propagators can be a bit of a pain because you probably don't want to go P1 just for those, so you do have to actually protect your Stetellites. Yes. But as long as you can do that, you'll be good. If you clear out all the bases except for the actual top base, or even if you clear that, then you only have to worry about propagators coming through 2 channels of the map. So it gets a lot easier to deal with them. I think he's going to be pretty strong this week. I don't think he's quite Karax or Dehaka. He doesn't really have a launch it from the base option. Corruptors do pretty well.
He said doo-doo.
Well. Corruptors can do well, but they're, if they have something like Hardened Will or something like that, then the Corruptors are going to have to clear everything else out, and then you're out there for longer, and you don't necessarily want to have that. So I think he's pretty strong. I put him in A tier, but I don't think he's quite S.
I also have him in A tier, actually. I agree. The one thing that's keeping away from S for me is his Propagator defense is a little lacking. That's why he's only A tier for me. A is still really good, by the way. A is still really good. And he is blonder than Kerrigan. That's why he's an A tier. He's really blonde, apparently. That's why he's an A tier. Prestige-wise, You definitely want the second Prestige. It's very resilient. You can defend a lot of things. But there are a lot of things that will hurt you. For example, mineral shields, you need to have stuff in the base. You can't deal with it, but you're not immune. You have to deal with stuff like missile command, so that's also annoying. But still really good, so A tier. Stukov for me, apparently he's blonder than Kerrigan because he only really has to watch out for 2 things. And you know what those 2 things are, the Propagators and Transmutation. If you don't get those, Stukov will ramp up into something terrifying because he's zombies. But if you get 1 or both of those, you're in trouble because he will not be able to help a lot. Unless you get to the really, really late game where you can just overwhelm the poops with your infested. It'll take a while to get there, but once you get there, it's pretty good. But those are 2 critical errors, or those are 2 critical weaknesses. That's why it's only B tier for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with I think B tier makes sense. Yeah, there's just a couple, but they are really bad if you do get them. So, yeah, there's not a ton to say. B tier.
All right. He's as blonde as Nova. Swann,
yep.
For me, he's actually really good. He's like Karax, but slightly not. He does have to go out with something to give vision. It's either going to be wraiths that are units and therefore more susceptible to mutators, or factories that are less susceptible but are slower. So you can absolutely do just the defense thing with either factories or wraiths. My preference would be wraiths because they deal damage faster, they can cloak, and that you can still go for the second prestige, which will give you a concentrated beam, which will clear out almost anything as long as you don't have just die with a single hit, and pulse cannon, which is also pretty good. So that's pretty good. A tier, pretty good.
Yeah, I think A tier makes sense. And yeah, I do like the Wraiths option. Wraiths as well aren't going to just like insta kill themselves if you're up against double edged. You'll have to help them along if you really want to lose your whole army. I think it takes like at least 2 or
You
3
can shoot
volleys.
your own wraiths.
So they're not just gonna like shoot one volley and be dead. So that's nice. And they do have auto healing, so that's also pretty nice. I think A tier makes a lot of sense.
All right. That's very nice. Tychus for me, I actually have him in B tier. I forgot why I put him in there, but I'm not opposed to A tier now. But for some reason, I put him in B tier on my own list. Trying to think. I guess double edged will kind of hurt him a lot. COVID will hurt him a lot unless you go for rattlesnake, and you have to not be second prestige if you want to go with that option for COVID. You can get messed up a bit by fail attraction, but not a lot. I don't know why I put him in B tier. I guess it's because you do have an option for COVID, but that option requires that you forgo your best prestige, the second prestige. But I'm not sure anymore if that's a good enough reason. He is really good against stuff like Void Rifts, even stuff like Avenger, even stuff like Outbreak. He can just have Outlaws in the base and that'll defend pretty much everything. Maybe Slim Pickings will hurt him a bit, but not even that much. I don't know. Maybe he is A tier after all. I haven't been, but I think he's now more like A. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd think more A. I mean, there are one or two that cause pain, but I don't think they're going to outright kill you. Like double edged and COVID and things like that. I mean, even with P2, you're not required to keep them separate. Obviously, then you're just paying 30% more, whatever it is, for your gear with no benefit. But if you need to do it while Black Death is on the map, and then once it's gone, you split back out, you could do something like that.
I've been playing second prestige for years, and I've never once thought that I don't have to keep them together. That is mind blowing. I've never thought of it that way.
I mean, they aren't any weaker besides not having the gear, or having less gear because the gear.
I guess it wouldn't make a difference for me because I don't get Rattlesnake and Nikara normally anyway. Usually my fourth and fifth are Nux and Vega. So
that's true, but just Rattlesnake is enough to overcome Black Death, and he's still going to do decently well, even if you just stick him at home for base defense when it's not active. Or you just roll the dice, How likely am I to get Black Death anyways? But, yeah, I mean, I think A makes sense. I don't think there's any other mutators that are going to make him super duper struggle. Obviously, he's very good against a lot of the tougher mutators like Propagators and Void Rifts and things like that. So I'd put him in A.
Okay. Prestige-wise, second prestige. How good is Time Stop? Because that's basically Vorazun's entire thing for this mutation. I've been on record saying that Voyage is basically a one-wave map, the last shuttle wave. That's really the only time it gets crazy, but that's when Vorazun can throw down the last time stop and give her a lot of leverage to just snipe the shuttles. But there are things that will make that difficult. For example, Avenger, Barrier, Diffusion will make it really difficult for your Corsairs to snipe down the shuttles. Even stuff like Transmutation will make it annoying. Stuff like Twister will throw your Corsairs or make it difficult to focus stuff. I guess she's okay, not bad, because Time Stop and Cloak Wall, by the way, Cloak Wall is also really good. Time Stop and Cloak Wall are really huge things. But how huge? I'm not sure it's huge enough to put her in B. I have her in C. That's where I have her. Do you think she should be higher?
No, I kind of agree that there's a lot of mutators that are going to mess her up more than she's about the same level of blonde as Kerrigan, I'd say. There's a lot that's going to mess her up. Just Die is another one, right? I think you didn't mention with the Corsairs, where
I forgot to mention
take a while to kill the shuttles, and you have to kill them all twice. Well, and if the enemy actually has a full-on air composition like battle cruisers or something, then ouch.
But you get double-edged.
Yeah, something like that. So I think she's not. I mean, Time Stop is good, but I'm not sure it's quite up to B tier good. I think
Slim Pickings will really mess her up. Microtransactions will really mess her up. Oh my Donnie.
Yeah. So I'd
Okay.
say C.
Yeah. She has 1 prestige, the 3rd prestige. Zagara, I actually have her in B. Listen to this. You can put bile launchers in the expansions and on the ramp, and that will just barely reach the warp exits. So you can just defend, and have bile launchers do most of the work for you. You can still have backup Scourge in case you get things like double-edged. But for the most part, you can just defend. I think that's good enough for B tier.
Yeah, that makes sense. Double-edged or like hardened will, obviously, you're gonna have to keep an eye out for with the bile launcher strategy. But yeah, I think B tier's fine. She's good against most stuff. COVID could be
Hardened
a
Will
pain,
is not on
but
here.
Oh, it's not.
It's not on the list.
Interesting. Well,
Maybe
okay. Well,
maybe
then
this is
yeah,
outdated. I don't know. Maybe my list is
it may
outdated.
not be.
Yeah. Anyway, so what do
I
you think?
have no idea. There's no real consistency, it feels like, to what is on the list or not. I don't see why Hardened Will wouldn't be. But anyways, yeah, I think B is fine.
Okay, I was actually
Especially
wondering
with
if you
that
would put her in A with all the sniping ability that she has, but I guess B is very much okay for me. Zeratul, Cannon's
Well,
good.
there's slim pickings, you know.
That is true.
A tier's a little tough.
That is true. Zeratul, Cannon's good. Demote Dude, good. Hero, good. Teleporting, good. Legions, good. S tier.
Yep, I'd agree. The
All right.
blondest of them all, really. I
The
think.
blondest of them all. No, Karax is actually the blondest of them all. His whole face is blonde.
That's fair. That's fair. He's actually got blonde armor.
That's true. Oh my Donnie. Okay. So that's the guys in their tiers. Who's top of S tier?
It's probably Karax, I would say.
I'm thinking Dehaka
But-
slightly blonder.
It might be. I don't know. It's very close between the two of them. I think they're both definitely better than Zeratul, but yeah,
Yeah.
I could see either one. Dehaka's. I think I had Dehaka on top of S, but it's definitely
Not that
it could go
far.
either way.
Not that distant first. Okay. So who's top
Yeah.
of A?
I'd say Stetmann or Tychus. I think maybe.
Stet boy?
No, I don't think Swann's top.
Yeah,
but
these two
Stetmann
guys.
has like COVID denial and
Oh, COVID is pretty
Super
good.
Gary and
Yeah, the only thing keeping Stet boy out of S really is Poopagators, if you think about it.
yeah, so I'd say top of A. And it's not like he can't deal with propagators, it's just a pain compared to a lot of the other commanders.
Maybe a little bit of missile command. A little bit.
That's true, yeah.
Abathur, I guess, goes in second. Oh no, Tychus, you said, goes in second. I can see that because
I think
Tychus
so.
doesn't
And then
require
Abathur.
biomass.
Or maybe
He's just full powered right
I think
away.
Minx, would go. Yeah, I think Minx goes below Abathur, and then, or maybe even below Swann, because Swann does have wraiths, which are quite good at getting in and out. And
I
the
agree.
laser drill and the concentrated beam. So yeah, I think that's good for A.
Yeah, I think this looks good. I did have Arcturus at B tier, so this is consistent with where I put him. B tier.
Stukov.
Stukov is slightly blonder than Nova.
Yeah, I know it's confusing, guys, but if you look really close, yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't know. Do you think Zagara or Nova is better here? I think. I mean, it's like the only thing that messes up Zagara, I feel like, is slim pickings, but that will also mess Nova up, and there's maybe even a couple other things that'll mess Nova up more than Zagara.
So Zagara is blonder than Nova.
I would say, yeah, I think Zagara is blonder than Nova. Still confusing, I know. C tier. Time stop. I mean, we were discussing C versus B with Vorazun, so I feel like she's probably top of C, and then I'd probably put Alarak above Kerrigan.
I think I might actually put Vorazun below because she's really bad against COVID.
I guess Alarak does have
Overcharge.
overcharge, and he has ascendance in theory.
And get really
that can help.
mad.
So yeah,
Empower me.
yeah. I think that makes sense. You could put him above Vorazun then, and then Vorazun above Kerrigan.
Yeah.
D tier. I think probably Raynor at the top, because Raynor at least has the get good rolls, be pretty good, whereas everyone else has like just kind of struggle.
I would
with almost
maybe put a
anything.
star in Raynor. If he doesn't get slim pickings, he's top of D. If he gets slim pickings, he's probably E. that's
Yeah,
probably how I would
fair.
describe it.
High
Alright.
highs and low lows for Raynor.
No, not high. Low lows, low highs, and even lower lows. That's
Yeah,
Raynor.
true. I think maybe Han and Horner above Phoenix, and then Artanis above both of them would be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
not
I think
opposed to
so.
that. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for it, also please leave it in the comment. I'll see you guys next time.